over the weekend, could you sum up the weekend by saying the Yankees were Yankeeing and the Mets were Metsing?
No, that's pretty much the teams in a nutshell. Now, if you wanted to know what was going on, like if you've been just so in depth with the Rangers and the Knicks runs and we just weren't following baseball, like what's going on? All right, well, take a watch the two teams this weekend and you'll know exactly what direction each one's going.
It's pretty obvious.
Was it?
You could get This is the only thing that's not is no matter what you thought about Soto, you couldn't have thought he'd be this good. Like this would have been even for people like me, who from the very beginning, if you recall, I kept saying Yankee fans are going to fall in love. This kid is a joy to root for. Even for me, Don, I don't think I would have said he may be the best version of himself he's ever been. I don't know if I would have known that.
But enjoy it, man. I don't know if he's staying, but I think you just have to enjoy it and judge.
Can I give you point guard material right here?
What's that?
In a world where somehow the Mets were able to get Soto, like if he continues to have this year, and so far right now, guys, he's batting .322 with 17 home runs, 53 RBIs. If he continued to have this year, like it's just a lights out, I mean, he's probably on pace for about 50 home runs, just a lights out, bats .330, 50 home runs, all that, whether they win or lose. If the Mets were then to, and maybe it's not the appropriate word, but if they were to poach Juan Soto, Don, I think it would ignite the Yankee-Met thing to a different level that it hasn't been in a while.
It would be, unless the money is just so crazy that Yankee fans would be like, listen, I get it. I get them not going there.
But it still wouldn't change their anger at the Mets.
No, I get it, but here's the scary thing about Juan Soto. Enjoy it, and let's not forget, Aaron Judge had the greatest May that any Yankees ever had, so even though Soto's been terrific, Judge has been equal, at least over the last month or so. And what Heal's done and what the team has done, I mean, they've got this, they've tied with pretty much the best record in baseball with Philadelphia. They got a better run differential. You can make the case they are the best team in baseball, although Major League Baseball's got a major problem where they got like 11 teams above 500 out of the 30. So there's a lot of bad baseball being played, but it's not happening in the Bronx. It's not happening in Philadelphia. But the scary thing is, the better his season is, I think there's more of a chance that the Yankees don't keep him. Because if he has this unbelievable monster season, it'll give Steve Cohen even more of a justification to throw ridiculous money at him. And I do think there's a world in which Steve will offer just too much money for him to say no to. Now, there may be other teams, too, that can do that. I just don't know. The Yankees are going to have a budget, Peter. They're just going to. And if it gets ridiculous where you start dancing around, $60+ million a year, I think the Yankees are going to tap out. And the more embarrassing the Mets are, and the more dysfunction that happens there, and the more losing that happens there, Steve may be willing to go that extra mile with the money. And again, don't rip me for being a Met fan and having that opinion, because I don't know if that's great for baseball, that some hedge fund guy can dip into his own pocket and throw ridiculous money at somebody. I don't think that's good for baseball. I mean, good for Met fans, but I don't think it's be great for baseball. But I just think that's the reality. He wants to get up from the embarrassment. Soto's the best player available. He's got Scott Boras as his agent, who's going to want to get as much money as possible. If there is a budget, then Cohen, I think, will exceed it. And then you're going to make Soto out to be the bad guy when he says, well, boy, I can't take a $10 million a year haircut. And then everybody's going to rip him and say, oh, well, what are you going to that dysfunctional franchise for when you can stay a Yankee? But, Peter, isn't there a certain amount of money where you're like, yeah, I know I'm probably going to a lesser organization right now, but the money's just too good to pass up?
I think so. I think that probably is true. And I think maybe there's an amount where if it's negligible, you go, no. I'm going to stay with the place that I had this great experience and love.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon coming from a Met fan to say who's the better run organization right now. And he would be better off and have a better chance to win if he stayed in the Bronx, to get a chance to play with Cole, to play with Judge, and have that kind of organization that is run very well. And that's why I think if the Mets or somebody else offers $52 million a year and the Yankees only offer $50, that might be enough for him to say, you know what, I don't want to leave this paradise. But if it gets to be north of 60 and you've got an agent that wants to break the bank, then I think there's a chance that he's going to go. And I don't think that makes him a bad guy if the money is going to be that outrageous.
No, I think that's fair. Let's go to Daniel in the Bronx. Daniel, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, sure we can.
Hey, yeah. So yesterday I was watching the Yankee game. Amazing game, man. What Soto means to Yankees is I can't put into words. But the main thing I want to focus on, and I feel like no one is really talking about, is his second at bat when he laid down that bunt. Now, yes, we all want him to like swing for the fences or just get a knock at that situation. But can we talk about how important that bunt was to yesterday's game and the whole morale of that whole game? Because I really do think it was a game changer.
He's not a home run hitter per se. He could do everything. He can hit home runs. But if it makes sense to bunt, he can do it, so do it. Our argument always is, Daniel, why ask somebody to do something he can't do? But if the situation calls for it and he can do it, by all means do it. I mean, he's got that kind of ability. So take advantage of it. That's what makes him so wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you for the call, Daniel. That's a worthy thing, nerdy as it may be. I appreciate that. Let's go to Bob in Syracuse. Hey, Bob.
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up?
Good, man.
Love the show. Listen to you guys all the time. I just wanted to say, some of these Yankee fans, don't worry about next year. Enjoy this year, like you said yourself, Don. And what happens, happens.
All right, man.
Well, you got it.
We appreciate you, Bob.
You got to enjoy and this is something the Yankees aren't known to do. You got to win the championship. They're not going to care how many wins they get during the regular season. But I do feel, now we haven't talked a ton of Yankees because of the Knicks and the Rangers, but I have a feeling that they're going to enjoy this season more than they have in recent years because it's just so much fun. The pitching is overachieved. People like that. And Soto is just fun to watch. Judge is just fun to watch. It's a really likable team, Peter. It really is. Volpe's great, and he's having a ball. I mean, listen, I'm not a Yankee fan, but I've got no ill towards any of these guys. They're all really easy to root for, and they're fun to watch. So hopefully when we get into the nuts and bolts of baseball, it's not going to be complaining about who's not hitting or fast-forwarding to October or worried about Soto leaving in free agency. I have a feeling it's going to be a Yankee fan base enjoying the baseball that they're watching. I knew I was going to get this from people on social media.
Go ahead.
Peter Burke says, there's no amount of money the Mets can offer Soto to lure him away from the Yankees to the Mets dumpster fire when they can stay with the Yankees, bat in front of Judge, the best hitter in Major League Baseball with a chance to win every year. Then why did he hire Scott Boras? He hired Scott Boras to get the most money possible. Now, the Mets are a dumpster fire. I'm not going to argue that, but they're a dumpster fire because they lose. You don't think it's possible? I mean, the Mets went to the World Series in 2015. They won 101 games a couple of years ago. So you make the right decisions, you can win again. And again, I agree with you. A negligible amount of money, he'd be foolish to leave. But if the Yankees can offer him $50 million and the Mets offer him $65 million, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it does, Peter, do you really think he's going to turn down that kind of money? He's not, because if he wasn't interested in getting top dollar, he wouldn't have Scott Boras as his agent. His hitting can speak for itself. He's a great player. You hire Scott Boras because your intent is to make as much money as humanly possible. I'm sure, given truth serum, he'd rather stay with the Yankees. He'd be nuts to leave. But the Yankees aren't the only team that can offer a ton of money. And there are some billionaires out there that will throw more money at the situation. So we'll see. I hope you're right. I want them to stay here. Again, as a Met fan, I don't want them to buy their way to a championship. But I'm just reading the tea leaves. And it's not even really tea leaves. I'm just reading the room. If the money is that much apart, I'm sorry. If he had another agent, maybe I would buy it. And maybe he will change his mind, or maybe he will decide to go against what Scott Boras' wishes are. Scott Boras, Peter, do you ever see Scanners?
No, but I know the famous.
It's one of that's the thing. Most people have never seen Scanners, but they know the part where the guy's head blows up on TV.
That's right.
That would happen to Scott Boras' head if he negotiated a $60 million a year contract with the Mets, and Soto said, "No, I'm going to stay with the Yankees for $50."
I'm good.
And I wouldn't mind Boras' head exploding. Because I don't think he's good for baseball, and sometimes I don't think he's good for his clients. But he is what he is, and he would definitely explode if that were to happen.